Is it not written in your law that ye are gods? You understand what I'm saying? So it just depends on what level you on based on, whether you're human or whether you're immortal.
At ease. It's your boy Soul Immortal. Brother, today I want to talk about having moments of clarity, right? I want to talk about finding the mind's sweet spot, right? I was taking my son to school this morning, and I don't know how we got on this subject, but we started talking about my grandmother. And not the grandmother that I'm always talking about. You know, I talked about in The Beautiful Faces of Evil, man, I thoroughly talk about, you know, my mom's mother, right? But this morning, me and my son were talking about my dad's mother. And I don't speak a lot about her, man, just because like my time spent with her was just not as plentiful as my other grandmother, right? But I was telling my son, I said, man, you know, I said, your grandmother used to eat dirt, right? And he was just like, what? Like she used to eat dirt? I said, yeah, man. I said she was on like dialysis, like as far as I can remember back, and she used to eat this clay dirt, like to help with that, right? Like I guess it had some kind of healing powers or something, and she would just like eat this dirt, right? And I was telling myself, I can remember when she used to come stay like summers with us, man, or like long periods of time. I said, when we knew she was coming, man, me and my dad would go to this certain place in Longview, Texas, and dig up all this clay, you know, this wet mud type substance, right? I said, and we would come home and we would lay a blanket out in the garage and we would put these big chunks of clay on this blanket to just dry out over the next few days, maybe even week, you know. And when my grandmother would come, she was just, you know, started eating dirt, bro. It's the craziest thing, man. But I know I'm not the only one that knows about people eating dirt, right? But I was telling my son, I said, there was this one particular time, man, where I remember she was on the back porch and she had a cup of coffee. She drank her coffee black, no nothing, right? And then she had dirt on the other side, man. I remember walking out just trying to see if she needed anything, man. I was always catering to my grandmothers, man. And she was just like, no, baby, like I'm good. I got my coffee and I got my dirt, right? And then she just kind of started going down through there, man. She kind of just started like telling me about her life. And I was young, bro. I had to be like 9 years old. And she was just kind of telling me about her life and her childhood and all these things she went through. And I can remember some of it being very shocking. But man, that was so long ago, man. I can't really remember what she was saying. But this is what I remember. I remember the frequency she was in. I remember the moment of clarity she was having, man. I can remember like the Zen type or the vibration of needing nothing, man. Just a state of peace. I don't know what to call this, man, but she was in some frequency that I can clearly remember. And I'm telling you, brothers, like that's the frequency we need to consistently seek. That's the frequency we need to consistently, you know, hold on to, man. That moment of clarity, finding the mind's sweet spot, right? Now, I know, brothers, like we get up, man, 7 days a week and we're grinding, man. We're trying to get more. We're trying to, you know, win in life. I'm not saying we shouldn't be winning in life. Like, I think each and every one of us, man, should be striving to get the biggest home, to be striving to get the biggest truck and car, to be striving to get the thickest, most beautiful woman. Like, I think that's part of the life experience. But brothers, we have to be able to move like this and stay centered, because it's all about finding center. Like, it's all about finding and holding on to center. Like, anybody that has won in life, like you always hear me talk about the ebbs and flows of life, man. Like there's been some times where I started winning and then things would just happen, man, and I would fall off. Anybody that has been in that situation, man, where you won and then something happened in life started, you know, shaking. The first thing that comes to your mind, or at least my mind, was that moment where I started to go beyond center. Like in the process of me going up, there was always a sweet spot where my life was in surplus. I had a nice woman on my shoulder. Money was, good. Health was good. Like, life was just in surplus, and I was centered. Like, I was fully engaged with self. But for some reason, I kept extending. So when life started to fall off, the first thing I thought about was that moment. That moment. You know, one of my favorite movies, man, is Limitless. And I talked about this before. There was a part in the movie where the main character, Bradley Cooper, was surrounded by people. And they were talking about some country. I'm not sure if it was Spain or some country, but they were talking about the overall, development in this country. And they said, well, when this country was winning, why didn't that country just shut down and live off the interest and do all this instead of trying to invade countries and I think about that all the time, man. It's about finding that center, man. And it's not about not obtaining. It's just about maintaining that center. I even think about in the Bible when it talks about the rich young ruler. Now a lot of people, we can read the rich young ruler, and I spoke on this before, where it's like, you know what? And for you that aren't familiar with that part of the Bible, it's when the brother came, he came up on Jesus and his crew, right? And he was like, hey, I want to be down, right? Paraphrasing, of course. He said, I want to be down. I want to move with you, brothers, man. I want to be on the team, right? And the messenger said, hey, go get rid of all that stuff you got, man. The cars, the homes, the whatever you got, go get rid of all that stuff, and then you can come be down, right? When you think about it, it really wasn't about the rich young ruler going and just getting rid of everything, right? In my opinion, man, in my spirit, in my heart of hearts, I think it was more about the messenger seeing if he could identify with that spot. If he could identify with that spot of contentment, of not having nothing, of not being able to, of not having to use things to identify you. That whole frequency. Just finding that place of stillness, man. Because I'm telling you, that's where it is. Every single time in life, I find that, like, that's where my answers are. Like, that's where my peace is. That's where my development is. That's where my joy is, in that center. And the thing is, it applies to both ends of the spectrum. Like I talked about, it's easy to talk about it when you're up, when you're winning, and you start to come down and you think about it. But brother, it works the same way when you're on the losing end of things. When you're on the bottom. When I had my times or two, man, when I've been on the very bottom end of life, one of the first things I think about, man, or one of the sweet spots I think about, is just that place of contentment. I said, you know what, man, there was a place where I needed nothing. You know what I'm saying? Where I was just, fulfilled. I was just content. And while I was at the bottom, I would always say, if I could ever just get back right there, like I'm good. Like, I no longer need all the bells and whistles of life. Like, if I could just get back to that center, I would be good. And I'm telling you, brothers, that's where all the answers are. So all I'm saying today, brothers, is, we have to find that place. We have to find, and really that place is simply, when you think about it, that place is simply a spot of gratitude. It's just a spot of gratitude, man. Because I think about, I sit there and think about my grandmother. My grandmother, the one, talking about the dialysis. My grandmother, she didn't have a lot. She survived, but she wasn't well off. Her health wasn't the best. Like I said, she had issues. She was on dialysis. She had other issues. She was a single woman. She didn't have a man in her life. She didn't have a lot of the bells and whistles of life, man. But on that back porch, sitting there eating dirt and drinking black coffee, man, she found gratitude in life, brothers. She found gratitude, man. And I'm telling you, a lot of times when we're in grind mode, a lot of times when we're in grind mode, it's easy to come out of that center and to start feeling a sense of lack of what you don't have, right? So all I'm saying is let's stay centered, brothers. In all our gettings, let's stay centered. Even when we're on the bottom, man. Let's stay centered, man. Let's stay in a sense of gratitude. I think it's healthy for a man at least once a day to just sit down for a second, man, and live in that space. and reside in that moment of clarity. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about meditation. I'm not talking about, spending time reading. I'm talking about just sitting still and observing your world. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about just sitting still and observing the fact that you're healthy. Just observe the fact that all your bills are paid, man. Just observe the fact that you have a loving family or a loving wife or a loving husband in your life. Just observing the fact, man, that your kids are healthy and not in trouble and are doing X, Y, Z, man. Just observe the fact, man, that you have a vehicle that you can, get from A to B on. I'm telling you, man, with the way this world is set up, it's almost set up to constantly pull us from this moment. You know what I'm saying? It's constantly pulling us from this moment. If you're not careful, brother, I'm telling you, social media, getting on and seeing what everybody else has that you don't, watching these commercials that are always talking about the newest car, the newest this and all these things, brother. Again, these are good to get, but we have to be careful that it doesn't pull us from this center, man. Because I'm telling you, brothers, like that's where all the answers are, man. That's where God lives, brother. Simple as that, man. That's that spot. So all I'm saying, brothers, instead of just kicking a dead horse and going around in circles, let's consistently seek those moments of clarity, man. Like let's consistently seek, finding the mind's sweet spot.